Modern day cinema is confusing. Wait, before I get too deep, have you seen what 2025 is bringing? Disney announced a live-action Snow White, Captain America Brave New World, the first Captain America without Chris Evans.
I can do this all day.
Yeah, I know.
A Minecraft movie starring Jack Black.
I am Steve.
Marvel's Thunderbolts, Mission Impossible 8. Ballerina, a spin-off from the John Wick film starring Ana de Armas. F1 starring Brad Pitt, and is that? Jurassic World Rebirth, James Gunn's Superman without Henry Cavill. A musical Smurfs movie, a new Fantastic Four film with Pedro Pascal, Ariana Grande in Wicked Part 2, Zootopia 2, Five Nights at Freddy's 2, and Avatar. The third Avatar. Ooh. Okay, now are you ready to learn about some cinema?
The film industry is facing billions of dollars in losses as theatres close amidst the coronavirus pandemic.
In 2020, cinemas came to a standstill, and major studios had to either push back production or stop altogether. In a rather interesting article posted by The Numbers, they outlined the trends in the North American film industry from 1995 onwards. 2020 saw the lowest number of movies produced by one of the top 6 major studios. Disney, Fox, Paramount, Sony, and Universal only combined for a total of 34 films that year. Half of what they'd managed the year before. Also, if you're wondering why 20th Century Fox has only made one film in the last 5 years, well, Disney kind of brought them. Yeah, there's only 5 major studios now. The lack of films resulted in a total box office number of just $2 billion, which was 5 times less than that of the previous 10 years. I mean, Sonic was the second highest earner that year. So, now the pandemic may have nearly destroyed the cinemas, but it was a blessing in disguise for streaming services. For the first time, subscriptions to streaming services passed 1 billion, showing a 26% increase. Netflix has surpassed 200 million subscribers, and Disney Plus had just hit 73 million, only 9 months after their launch.
Well, the Writers Guild of America is officially back to work as of 12:01 this morning.
Ending what's been 5 months of strike.
With the rapid growth of television production and streaming services, writers began to become unhappy with their compensation and worried about the prospects of AI. From May 2nd to September 27th, the Writers Guild of America, which represents 11,500 screenwriters, went on strike, making it one of the longest stoppages in Hollywood history. However, the WGA aren't unfamiliar with going on strike. An article written by IndieWire outlines the 8 major strikes across their 91-year history. In 1952, they went on strike over residuals and ownership. In 1960, Ronald Reagan, yes, the former president of the United States,
America missed me.
led a Screen Actors Guild strike, and the WGA went on strike over their job benefits and a smoother pipeline from theatrical showings to televised reruns. In 1973, a 16-week strike over residuals from videocassettes and paid television. Are you still with me? In 1981, a 13-week strike on residuals from cable television. A short 2-week strike in 1985 to try and acquire VHS revenue from distributors. In 1988, 22 weeks were spent trying to get larger residuals from reruns, both domestically and internationally, which resulted in studios losing $500 million. In 2007, the release of Netflix caused concerns over profits from the new frontier of film distribution, causing a 14-week strike. But the writers weren't the only ones who felt concerned over the release of Netflix. As previously mentioned, Disney had launched their streaming service, Disney Plus, in 2019. And Robert A. Iger, chairman and chief executive officer of the Walt Disney Company, said, "The launch of Disney Plus is a historic moment for our company that marks a new era of innovation and creativity." In an article published by The Verge in August of this year, they talk about how Disney had actually struggled to make a profit off their streaming business and had only just reported a profitable quarter, making $47 million off of Disney Plus, Hulu, and ESPN Plus. But what interests me the most is that Disney's CEO highlighted that the strong quarter was driven by excellent results at box office and in DTC. What's clear to me is that even juggernauts like Disney still rely on their box office numbers in an era of streaming ability. In fact, the Financial Times reported that the largest traditional entertainment companies lost more than $5 billion last year from the streaming services they built to compete with Netflix, which is just insane. For those that don't know, box office is the first amount of money a film generates from ticket sales whilst in the theatre. So far in 2024, Disney tops the box office with the success of Deadpool and Wolverine and Inside Out 2, which, by the way, became the highest grossing animated film ever. In 2023, Universal Pictures were back on top after a long 8 years with the likes of Oppenheimer and the Super Mario Bros. Despite the setbacks that cinema has faced in the last 5 years, it has had a lot of success stories. 10 of the top 20 highest grossing films of all time were released. 3 movies entered the top 50 highest rated films on IMDb, and we got this beautiful clip.
I just want an Oscar!
However, box office numbers are still yet to have made a full recovery. At the time of filming, 2024 was managed $8.3 billion, which, if we account for inflation, is still $5 billion off of 2019. What's worth noting as well is the massive influx of films being made by studios not considered to be a major 6 or 5 now. If we go back to the article published by The Numbers, we can see that in 2024, 105 films from other studios were produced, which is notably higher than any other year. And after the success of Sound of Freedom in 2023, bringing in nearly $250 million from an initial budget of 14.6, you can understand why. Money. We all know it, and we all love it. Some more than others. There's no hiding the fact that movies are making more money than ever before. The most notable films are Barbie, which made $1.4 billion, the Super Mario Bros. Movie, which made $1.36 billion, and Inside Out 2, which made $1.7 billion. One of the large driving factors for the success of a film, apart from being based on things we love, is meme culture. Everyone remembers the Minions movie for the fact that everyone turned up in suits. I mean, seriously, it went too far. But you didn't know that it made more money than The Lord of the Rings, The Two Towers, and Shrek 2. Yeah, and I know what you're thinking. That's not true if we adjust for inflation. And yeah, you're right. But if we do, it's still earned more money than The Matrix and Oppenheimer. I also find it quite funny that Ice Age: The Dawn of the Dinosaurs made more money than Spider-Man: Homecoming. However, not every movie is a success, and more often than you think, big studios lose money making a film. The most relevant example of this is with Joker 2, which is now set to lose roughly between $125 million to $200 million. I guess people just don't appreciate amusement. In order to create a successful film purely on a financial level and potentially break into the top 10 highest grossing films of all time, you need to create hype and have a good foundation. Minecraft, a game released by Mojang Studios in 2011 and the single most popular game on the planet, and now a movie. So if you somehow haven't seen, Warner Bros. Are set to release the Minecraft movie starring Jack Black in April 2025. The trailer was published 1 month ago to some, well, mixed reviews. But despite the interesting choice of live action and some questionable animation, Warner Bros. Did manage to achieve some serious advertisement for this film. Granted, the movie trailer was not well received and suffered similar treatment to that of the Sonic movie, but the internet publicity might be a good trade-off. The trailer alone has 40 million views, which if we compare that to the Super Mario Bros. Movie, which only has 20 million, you can start to believe that this film is going to generate some serious revenue. I mean, you can't make a movie on the most popular game on the planet and not expect everyone to see it, despite how it first looks. If you remember, Illumination got some serious backlash for casting Chris Pratt as Mario, but everyone still went and saw it. Ever since the release of Endgame, people have said that Marvel will struggle. I have to credit Marvel, because when you hit the peak of entertainment that was Endgame, it will inevitably be hard to replicate such success. Now yes, it's no secret that there was definitely some questionable decisions, and definitely a lack of quality in some places. But 2024 is an important year for Marvel. Not only did we see Hugh Jackman return to our screens, but we also got the return of RDJ. Now, in all seriousness, Deadpool & Wolverine was a fantastic movie and a great refreshment to what cinema can be in the modern age. The choreography of the intro scene was fantastic. Channing Tatum did a great job as Gambit.
I'm about to make a name for myself here.
And we got 2 hours of pure entertainment.
Soaking wet right now.
It was also unique for the fact it was the first Disney-owned Marvel Studios R-rated movie.
Dick of the claws. It's quite common in Wolverines over 40.
How we got from this to this, I will never know. Avengers Doomsday sees the return of RDJ, but not as Iron Man.
I am Iron Man.
Stark was able to build this in a cave with a box of scraps.
I mean, I had to include this clip. But instead, as Doctor Doom. Yes, it has a lot of hype to live up to as the next Avengers film, but I mean, have they ever released a bad Avengers? Plus, after it was released that the Russo brothers, who literally directed Infinity War and Endgame, were going to direct the film, I don't think they can go wrong. Speaking of not going wrong, we also saw one of the greatest crossovers in cinema history when Spider-Man No Way Home was released. Oh, who's your favorite Spider-Man? Yeah, Marvel doesn't care. Have all 3.
Peter!
Yeah? Oh, sorry. Did you mean
I fought an alien made out of black goo once.
Oh, no way. I fought an alien too. On Earth and in space.
Oh.
Yeah, he was purple.
I want to fight an alien.
I mean, I don't think I've ever seen more speculation surrounding the film. Andrew Garfield, Tobey Maguire, and Tom Holland combined to make a roller coaster of emotions. I mean, that's the first time I've ever gone to see a film and the entire cinema gasped. And to the woman that sat next to me, my sister, you're a real one. As everyone knows, you can't mention Marvel without talking a little bit about DC. So what have they done in recent times? Oh, they were responsible for Joker. Okay. What else? Oh, Flash? But they had Aquaman. So Batman was pretty good. In all honesty, DC films have been a little bit off the pace recently. I mean, what happened to the peaks of the Dark Knight trilogy?
This city deserves a better class of criminal. I'm gonna give it to him.
You either die a hero, or you live long enough to see yourself become the villain.
It is literally the third highest rated film of all time. Disney live actions are interesting.
It's different. I can't quite figure it out.
She got legs, you idiot.
Since 2019, there have been 10 live action remakes to some mixed success. In 2019, we saw Tim Burton take on Dumbo, receiving a 6.3 compared to the original 7.2 rating, which, by the way, how is this the same person that did The Nightmare Before Christmas?
This is covered everywhere. What's this?
Will Smith starred as the genie in Aladdin,
Loyalty to wishes 3. I'm kidding. Watch this.
which received a 6.9 compared to the original's 8 rating. I mean, you're not gonna beat Robin Williams. The Lion King, which was one of the most expensive films ever made and featured the likes of Donald Glover and Beyonce, managed a 6.8 compared to the original's 8.5 rating. It did make $1.6 billion though, so. Angelina Jolie was back in Maleficent, Mistress of Evil, which got a 6.6. The first Maleficent live action got a 6.9. And finally, Lady and the Tramp with Tessa Thompson, which got a 6.2 compared to the original 7.3. You can start to see a clear theme here. In fact, Mulan, Pinocchio, Peter Pan and Wendy, and The Little Mermaid all fell short of the originals. Cruella, starring Emma Stone, was the only one out of the 10 that managed to match the original with a 7.3 rating, which begs the question on whether 2025's Snow White will be able to top the 1937 original's 7.6. In fact, the original Snow White was not only the very first film Walt Disney ever produced, funding the entire thing himself and even having to take a second mortgage, but it was also the world's first feature-length traditionally animated film, and when adjusted for inflation, it's the 10th highest grossing film of all time. An actor alone could pull in millions of people to watch a film. I mean, Samuel L. Jackson alone has appeared in 174 movies.
Damn, Jimmy. This some serious gourmet shit.
But just how much does an actor make today compared to the 1900s? In 2023, the man, the myth, the legend, Adam Sandler.
Adam Sandler? What are you doing here?
Waiting for them to play Gangnam Style.
Made the most money, bringing in a healthy $73 million, beating out Margot Robbie. Compare that to 1960, where superstars such as Elizabeth Taylor and Marlon Brando, who featured in the likes of The Godfather and Superman, were earning as much as $1 million per film, which was an insane amount of money for that time. Still only $10 million in today's money, quite a way off that of today's superstars. In the last 10 years alone, Dwayne "The Rock" Johnson has been the highest paid actor 4 times. In fact, since 2000, he has been the highest paid actor more times than anybody else. Robert Downey Jr. and Johnny Depp both have 3, Adam Sandler and Tom Cruise twice. Hollywood, however, is notorious when it comes to its association with money and fame, and scandals. And one of the most notorious achievements an actor can have is an Oscar, a star on the Hollywood Walk of Fame. This year we've seen the induction of 3 Marvel legends, Mark Ruffalo, Chris Hemsworth, and the most powerful of them all, Willem Dafoe.
I started this company. You know how much I sacrificed?
What's also quite cool is that Big Bird, Bugs Bunny, Godzilla, and Winnie the Pooh all have stars. Also, if you're wondering who has the most vandalized star, it is Donald Trump.
Excuse me, where's the lobby?
Down the hall and to the left.
Thanks.
Ah, Christmas time. An excuse for us to spend time with our families watching some fantastic pieces of cinema.
Blizzard of '68, I believe. Easter Sunday, wasn't it?
Bunny! You're not still mad about that, are you?
Now, you may be familiar with the Mariah Carey phenomenon, which is why she makes a boatload of money every Christmas from a song she made in 1994. Well, it's the same for film. Every single family has their go-to Christmas films, from the likes of Elf, The Grinch, The Polar Express, and Die Hard, but I don't think any is associated more than Home Alone. Known for making names like the little-known rising star Donald J. Trump and some other blonde guy, Home Alone is a staple of Christmas itself. In fact, $35 million was spent across the entire production of the franchise, which made a worldwide total of $866 million. That's a profit margin of $831 million, which, by the way, is still less than Avatar alone managed, but we haven't really seen a Christmas film stamp its name into households since the early 2000s. However, the likes of Dwayne Johnson, Chris Evans, Lucy Liu, and J.K. Simmons will be hoping that their film, The Red One, will change that. Red One is set to release on the 15th of November and sees J.K. Simmons, who plays Santa himself, get kidnapped, meaning the North Pole's head of security, Dwayne Johnson, must team up with the world-famous bounty hunter, Chris Evans.
I'm not gonna like you. I can tell right away.
In order to save Christmas. Now granted, The Rock is basically playing himself again, but with such a star-studded cast and a genuinely interesting plot, I wouldn't be surprised to see if it's being replayed itself every year. Despite being late on in the year, 2024 still has a lot of action to bring us. The lovable bear Paddington returns for a third time as he travels the Peruvian jungle. The much-awaited sequel Gladiator 2 stars Paul Mescal, Denzel Washington, Pedro Pascal, and Joseph Quinn, and follows the events of the first film, which was 24 years ago now. Moana 2 sees us go on a new voyage with Moana and Maui. Kraven the Hunter with Aaron Taylor-Johnson is a story on how and why one of Marvel's most iconic villains came to be, set prior to his encounters with Spider-Man. Mufasa brings us another Disney live action, which is not surprising based on the aforementioned success of the first Lion King live action. And finally, the film everyone has been waiting for, and quite possibly the best piece of cinema you will ever see, Sonic 3.